Morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. You know me, I'm Tom. Thursday. Finally, I'm able to come up here and finally start building on this thing. Man, I'm basically delayed 4 days. Well, 3. But you can see, second deck. Oh yeah, nosebleed section. You don't want to fall off. Oh. Anyway, that would be a long drop. But you can see the sky is still cloudy. We had 6 inches of rain last night. But anyway, let's get to this. I normally don't do this, but I've had so many of you guys ask me how to build something. Okay, let me just say this. Okay, I'm not following the design of the original builder. Okay, I'm redesigning it and overbuilding it. That's the parameters of what I'm doing here. Okay, let me explain it again. The inside measurement here happens to be exactly 1.5 inches. Okay, that's the overlap on the base to the post. Okay, the way they built this, the box framing, is they use 3/4 inch by 8 pine board, basically construction board. Okay, and then they built their boxes. So what they did is nothing very scientific. And not only that, they boxed scrap wood in here to offset, the distance they needed to connect to the top box. There were 3 layers, 2 of them down here to come out, okay? And then they created their box, and then they had a lip trim around the outside of this, and then they connected their rail into the lip trim. Okay, all right. So when the screw went into the wood, it only was a 1-inch screw, but when it was connected from the wrought iron going through these boxes, it didn't hit the post. Think about it this way. You see no holes in this wood. This is where the post, the gate, this is the main gate right here, would connect. Okay? You see no holes. So you use 2 shorter screws in the original build, and then they built this box framing out of standard pine. Now, what I'm doing is taking all the wrought off, which is all at 39 3/4, basically 40 inches tall. That was the original first design feature, the bump out for the box. Okay, that was their first tier, and then they put another tier at the bottom. Okay, and then that's the way the welder, when he put the wrought iron in, he welded it to this first length, or this first bump out of 1.5 inches, and didn't for the bottom. So some of the wrought irons don't match up to this. They're shorter or longer. I have to either cut them or leave them alone to get them to fit back, and then weld whatever pieces I need on. But what I'm using here is treated 1.5 by 8. Or excuse me, these are 10s and 1.5 by 8s, and I'm having to rip the 8s to fit here and here to fit in here. Obviously, the regular lengths are too wide. But what I also do is keep all these. These are the pieces that come off of it after I trim what I need from that to make my stuff work. And I hold on to all these because these are pickets, so I can recycle this material. In fact, the handrail system I built last week for this rental that's getting sold, I used all this scrap, and it cost me almost nothing to build it. So that's how you also think in my business, because I do advertise I'm a green business. But as you can see, this is how it's going to come. That tight. It got as much rot off of it as I can. And then I'm going to, of course, caulk this. But every one of these screws that I put in here, and I use nothing but screws, I pre-drill the hole, and then I put the screw, countersink it, and then caulk the outside of the screw. And these are the screws I'm using. Regular, 3-inch deck board screws, okay? But these are zinc coated, so they'll last, all right? I use only galvanized or zinc coated, or, this is all I use. Okay. Cool guy out here doing his thing. Okay. All right, guys, that's how you do it. Now, the other thing that you got to consider is that when you're buying your lumber, you got to buy as clean a pieces of lumber as you possibly can. They got to be straight, okay? I hand selected through the stacks of wood that Lowe's had to offer, and I picked, what I needed to pick that were as perfect as possible. Both sides, I looked at both sides, the straightness and also the grain pattern, to make sure my lumber is also clean. Okay? Alright guys, I'm going to end this video. You guys know what to do. I got to get back at it and start building. Leave those comments, give me the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I'll check you guys out later. It's finally getting some sunshine after 3 days.